Welcome to Yerushalmi Sotah Daf Lamed Vav. Amar Alf, we start in the Mishnah, Daf Lamed Hey and Beis in the bottom. Halacha Vav, Zok Telig Mishnah. Birchas Kohen Keitzad. How did they do Birchas Kohen? How did they do Chem Medina? Aimru Ma'aser Shalosh Brachos. They would say it in three brachos like we do today. You split them up. Yivrech Hashem, you said next pasuk, Yoir, etc. But Mikdash, they actually said a bracha achas, one long bracha. And the reason for that is because you don't answer Amen in the Beis Hamikdash. Because when they heard Hashem's name, they would say Baruch Shem B'chusay. So he said it in one shot. But Mikdash Oyem Hashem Kiksavai. They said it the way it was written, Shem Avai. But Medina Bekinuv, like we say, Adnos. Shem of Adnos. But Medina Koinim Noisnes Yideim Kinekis Vosei, and they raise like we do today, like this, right? A mikdash al gabe roshei, they would have picked up above their heads because of the presence of the Shekhinah. Chutz mikol gadol, sheina might be other v'lo malam tzitz. Besides a going gadol who does not, because he's wearing the tzitz, so he can't raise his hands higher than the tzitz. That's what the presence of the Shekhinah is. Rabbi Yudaim, av kohen gadol maybe is yadol malam tzitz. Shneim says v'yisa aron is yadav v'lo am vayivorachem. So Rabbi Yudah says it says vayisa es yadav. So Rabbi Yudah says he did. He actually did. Raise his hands higher than the tzitz. Okay, Mishnah Zayin. Birchas Kohen Gadol Keitzad Chazan Knesses Noitel Sefer Torah. So it was a big ceremony here. The Chazan Knesses took the Sefer Torah. V'noisen Rosh Knesses. Rosh Knesses noisen l'skan. V'askan noisen l'Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol oimed mekabel. V'koire oimed. And he would read it standing as opposed to the king. We'll see soon that the king read it sitting. V'koire achri mois v'ach ba'osa v'golos ha-Torah u'menicha b'cheikoi. So he reads in Parshas Achrimos and he reads Parshas Ach Ba'asar, and he says and then he puts away, so he rolls it up, puts away the Sefer Torah, and he says. There's more than I even read to you over here. Yes, Kosav Khan over Asosha B'chumash Pekudim the Koris Al Peh. He reads that by heart because we don't want to be matriach the tzibah start mishing a sefer Torah. V'varach lo shmoyne brachas al Torah al voida al adoya mechilsa avein al mikdash al Yisrael al koinim v'shat tefillah. Fine. I'm going to have tzar go. Oh, this we said yesterday. B'chol asa. So the Gemara just skip the first line. B'chol asa, and this is going with the carbonate here. B'chol asa tom ma hoichenetz al Torah. Normally say you go to the sefer Torah. B'chol tom ma lichnas al Torah etzlon. Suddenly he's saying that you bring the sefer Torah to them. Eloi dei shehein. Because they're important people, the Torah is gets covered through them. It's a cover for the Torah to be given to them. It's a cover for them. In Bavel, so we bring the Torah to the Reish Galusa, but the Reish Galusa many times was not a great person at all. Rabbi Yosi, but Rabbi Bona Zar Shel David Meshuka Sham, since the Zar Shel David is entrenched over there, those are the Reish Galusa. Inun Avdon lo Kimina Gavosan, so they do what their fathers did, but Bamis, they're not right for that. Tam Tanin with Algam and Avim with Algam Torah that we skip, right? We learned that you can skip an Navi, but you can't skip anywhere in the Torah. Medalgim and Navi, you can skip in one Navi, in one Sefer, let's say Yeshua, but not from one Navi to another. But by the trail, so that's mutter. Why not? We don't want to waste, it's not a covenant for the tzibur, to waste everybody's time when they're rolling a Sefer Torah. Therefore, you can't skip around. What about if you have to skip a small parasha? Right? That's why he been saying you skip that parasha, go to the next one. Why not? There's no tirch the tzibur up there. So it must be the reason is we want people to hear things in order, and if you start skipping around, even if small parashas, it's not in order, and people get confused. We just learned in the Mishnah that on Yom Kippur he's karach mois and he's karach basa. That's be medali. Shanya he, so for the Gemara, that's different. She's Sidra Shal Yom, because that's all talking about the Seder of Yom Kippur, so it's one Indian. And Taylor, and I'll even prove it to you, the matter of Shimon Lakish Chomalkim in a Koda Al Peh, the Koda Al Peh. So you see over here that things that have to do with the Indian, and even though normally we won't read Baal Peh in the Torah, but it has to do with the Indian of Yom Kippur, so we read it Baal Peh. So the same thing is for skipping Pashas. Rabbi Yossi Mifkid LeBarul, Lo Chazonu Deknishta de Babloi, Rabbi Yossi told Baul, who was the shamus in the shul in Bavel, the great synagogue of Bavel, Kadi Choda Urya Togil le Lahadi Peruchta. We'll go so now Lachari Lahadi Peruchta. and be behind the pareches. When you have one Torah only, so then you can roll it on the bima because you don't have a choice. Kadin and Tarti, but if you have two Torahs, see Mevel Chodo, Maisi Chodo. So put back one and take out the other one. So this way you don't have to roll and you're not wasting anyone's time. And we also know Mavarach Lashmane Brachos. Al ha-Torah, ha-boich ba-Torah. Al ha-avodah, shoyes chalavat chabir and like we have when we do it. Al ha-Doya, tevlich al ha-Hoides, ha-Mechilas ha-Avin, moich lavanis am Yisrael berachamim, al ha-Mikdash, ha-boich ba-Mikdash. Rabbi Yama says, no, al ha-Mikdash was ha-Sheichim b'tzion. That's what the end of the bracha with. Yisrael ha-boich ba-Yisrael, val-koinim ha-boich ba-koinim, al-shat-filot, chino, va-kosher, sham, chisot, tzrichin, whatever was needed. Lehivoshel of Baruch atah Hashem shmei tefillah, knows the Kohen Gadol put in his own tefillah over it. Allah Zayin Zok Teli Mishnah. Parshas HaMelech Ketzad. How did they do Hakel? Moitza a Yontev Harishon. Well, we go over here Shel Chag on the first night, the Matzah Yontev, the first night of Sukkot B'Shmini, the 8th year. Matzah Shvius, which was Matzah Shemitah. Oisen Lebi Mishalei to make a wooden platform, Ba'azora. Who Yoshev and he sits on it. The king sits on it and says, Mikhet Shavashon B'Moed Shnas Shemitah B'Chag HaSukkot B'Voy Kol Yisrael Le'Ro Ois. Chazan HaKnesses, again, we have this whole procession again. Chazan HaKnesses, Noitel Sefer Torah, Noitel Rosh HaKnesses, Rosh HaKnesses, Noitel L'Kskan. Askan, Noitel Kohen Gadol, Noitel L'Melech, HaMelech, Oinu Mekabel, Kor V'Yoshev. When he accepts the Sefer Torah, he's standing, but when he reads it, he sits. Akribas HaMelech Amad, he stood V'Kibel V'Korah Oimed, and he was Mekabel the Torah Oimed, and he read the Torah Oimed. And as he didn't sit down, Shepchu Chacham, they praise him. Sucha Lasas Alecha Ish Nachri. When it came time, when he read the pasuk, after the pasuk, Sucha Lasas Alecha Ish Nachri. Zolgu ein of the ma'is. So he started crying. Amruloi. They said to him, Al tisyore Agrippa. So chinu ata, you are brother. And they were achnif him because he really was not right to be the king. Zot the Gemara, Loichein Tanu Reb Chia, Loiches Yeshiva Ba'Zora, Malchus Beis David, Malchus Beis David Uvad, V'amar Reb Ami B'Shem Reb Shimon Lakish, Av Malchus Beis David, Loiches Yeshiva Ba'Zora. So I can say the king sits in the Azora. And even for Malchus Beis David, there was no yeshiva. He leaned on a wall. I have Yavi Melech Davi Yoshev Fnei Hashem. So how could Shlakish say there was no yeshiva even for Malchus Beis David? It says V'Yoshev Fnei Hashem. Amar Avevo Ben Agri Yishav Atzmei B'Tefillah. He concentrated his mind for tefillah, but it doesn't mean he literally sat. Gemara we see by Pesach, by Korban Pesach, Yotzes on when it came out on Shabbos, so you couldn't go out into Yerushalayim because you couldn't carry it as a Shus Rabbim Yerushalayim. So Yotzes Karishon v'Yashulav Arabais. Hashniya b'chev Hashishas b'Koyma. So the Gemara assumes that when we say Hashishas b'Koyma, they stayed in the Azor and they sat, just like Karishon v'Yashulav. After the Gemara of Nachman Shem Rabbana Matanini Yashvalah b'Mekoyma doesn't mean Yashvalah b'Mekoyma sat down. Amdul b'Mekoyma, they stayed where they were. It doesn't mean they sat. Harbe chalolim naflu bois hayoim shechnifu loy. The day they were machnif themselves to Agrippas. There were many people that were killed, unfortunately, that day. That's how bad Chanifa is. Zok telling Mishnah Lachaches v'koyrim etchilas elot dvarim at Shema. This is what the king means. V'Shema ba'im shemoya aset as v'chisechal la'aser barachas aklos atru goymes kulam. Instead of reading the Gemara with that has to do with instead of reading the Gemara that has to do with instead of saying the bracha of Yom Kippur, he would say the bracha of the Yom Tovim. Aser to aser, kisachal aser. Why do we read these parshas? Since they went from Shemitah to the 8th year and they didn't give ma'aser, not to forget to give and the halachas of ma'aser. If it comes out in a year, it's matzah Shemitah and it's Yovel, don't they have to make havdalah? So that's another bracha over there. Yovel doesn't extend past Rosh Hashanah because it only goes for that year.